Welcome everyone to another creative writing workshop with educators in VR and all of you. This month, we're going to new month, very exciting. We're going to be really diving into characters in motion, building believable people. We're going to have so much fun with this, and boy, we got some, trust me, just fun. We're going to have fun. My name is Laurel. I'm the Director of Educators in VR and founder of the Creative Writing Workshop. It was founded in 2018. I'm getting ahead of myself here because I'm so excited about what we're going to be talking about. So again, we were founded in 2018. We meet every Tuesday here in EngageXR, the amazing EngageXR platform, and our events are free and open to the public. And we cover all kinds of basic writing and intermediate level writing, tips, tricks, techniques, etc. This year we're doing an experiment with month-long workshop series, and today we're doing Believable People, Characters in Motion, and this is a supportive, creative, educational environment for writers who are here meeting in virtual reality. So it doesn't matter. You don't have to have any obsession with virtual reality. You can come in on your laptop, your desktop, your mobile phone, whatever you want to do. You don't need a VR headset. We're here for each other. And Ian's been with us since almost the beginning. So I don't know why he keeps hanging out with us. We're thrilled. We're thrilled to have you all here. So we're meeting every month. We've started with these month-long series. This is a new thing we're doing this year. The writing path from idea to publish was the first part of the year. All these are being filmed. They're on our Educators in VR YouTube channel in the creative writing playlist. We had a reading event in our spring break in March, and then we just finished. I don't have it crossed out yet because I feel like it's not quite done yet. But anyway, world building for writers, and oh, we had so much fun with that. We got to go to some really fascinating places here in EngageXR, and we're going to do the same here today with start of Characters in Motion. Now, this Characters in Motion, building believable people, today is our intro. We're going to talk about seeing from many different perspectives. So it's mostly perspectives. We're going to talk about seeing our characters, describing them, and also what do our characters see. Next week, we're going into the characters in a world. How do our characters respond to a world? We're going to tap a little bit into that today, but we're going to really dive in deeper next week. And week 3 is going to be really fascinating. We're going to be exploring what are the difference between our characters' wants and their needs and the obstacles that get in the way. It's going to be, because this is what really truly defines our characters, and we learn about our characters through their wants, their desires, and the things that get in their way. And then we're going to sum it all up with action and change. How do our characters really evolve through the process of the storytelling and in the descriptions we use? Oh, I'm just so excited about this. All right, so everybody ready? Go. All right, so in our world building session, I found this great graphic online that really looked at the core components of an interacting world building template, so to speak. And there's a copy of this in our I put it in our writing lessons, I believe, of this slide. We've been focusing on the setting, the lore, the history, the culture, the society of the world that our character is in, and how to describe it, and how our character feels about it and stuff. And then touching on some of the key conflicts and the stakes and the stakeholders that are in that world, because that's really important in a a spy novel. You know, you have to save the world. You've got stakeholders and conflicts, and the world is, you're trying to overcome the obstacles in that environment to save the world, whatever that is. So, and those are really important and help paint the whole picture of what the world is. But now we're going to go on the other side of this model to look at the characters and the factions they represent. We're going to look at the choice points and the consequences, which leads to dynamic outcomes. But we're going to really focus on how we describe our characters and how our characters see around the world, or in their world, how it helps us paint the picture. Hopefully that made some sense, because I'm so excited. I'm falling over my words. So the goal of this month-long series is to move from describing a person. That's what everybody does. Had black hair and was wearing, green tennis shoes and had blue eyes, whatever it happens to be. We want to move from that to revealing our character, our persons in motion. Motion's really important. We're going to be covering that. How do we use the sensory details and the observations and make small choices that have big results in helping to craft our characters? So as I said, in this last monthly series, we were building the world around the environment around our characters and that they live in and how to describe them. And we discovered through the layers of description of culture, society, all the colors, the smells, the sounds, all these ingredients that go into a world. Now we're going to be really specific about selecting which key descriptive elements that move our story forward. This is not about describing every millimeter of an environment. It's about picking out the key things that paint the picture of our character and tell us more about our characters. So, because we want our characters to be believable, to really, we need to see how they see. We need to feel how they feel. We need to, we have to pay attention to what they notice and what their perspective is on the world to make them living, breathing, believable characters that our readers are going to enjoy. Right? Everybody with me? I think Kara's nodding. That's permission. Let's go. Now, here's our first question. How do we make a character feel present immediately in our story? Immediately. From the beginning, we know who those characters are. I want to use these two examples from The Wizard of Oz and the new movie that's out and the book that's been out for a few years, Project Hail Mary. Mostly because I'm obsessed with this ridiculous movie. If you haven't seen it, I recommend you see it. But most everybody's seen Wizard of Oz, or you know the story. So how do you create believable characters and have us get these characters at the very beginning of the story, that we know where they're coming from, we have a hint, we see through their eyes, we know what's going on. So we're going to start here with Dorothy and Ryland Grace. It's what, like 100, almost 100 years between these two? Maybe not quite, but close enough between these two stories. In Dorothy and Wizard of Oz, she is cute and humble and empathetic, right? She's introduced as an ordinary, relatable young woman trying to save her dog, right? She's innocent, she's kind, and she's misunderstood and not appreciated enough, she feels. Okay, we know that she's also protective and she's also brave because of her dog. Now, in Project Hail Mary, we learned pretty quickly that Ryland Grace, our main character, doesn't know who he is. He doesn't know where he is. So he's helpless. He's humbled. We feel for him because we've been there. We don't know, sometimes in our lives we get to the point we don't know who we are and where we are. And he starts to try to find answers immediately. So you see a bit of bravery, but because he's stumbling around, doesn't know what's going on, instead of just laying there as a pile of mush, he starts moving to figure out the answers to those questions. Yeah, and Ian says, thank you, Ian, that yes, we name our characters, we put them in the setting, and I don't understand the last part. It wouldn't help to describe, but we have to be able to describe them with the things that work, right? So the first thing that Dorothy says, the first words in the script, she says, she isn't coming yet, Toto, that's the dog. Did she hurt you? What does that mean? What do you know from just that sentence in the beginning? You can unmute and answer. What do you know about Dorothy?
Well,
Jay?
well, yes. Well, okay, yeah. Based on that, like, pretending that I've never seen the movie before, like, she's clearly like you have not been introduced to Irma Gulch. Like I think
Mm-hmm.
if I remember after the credits sequence, all you see is this teenage girl running down the road. I think she has the dog in a basket, and from that you learn that he's apparently been in somebody else's captivity,
Mm-hmm.
somebody to some rival of this teenage girl, and she is quite tense. She has well, she has quite a lot of affection for that dog. She has a lot of concern for it because I'm assuming that like it's been years since I've seen it. That's what that first thing you learned about her is that is she's afraid she's empathetic towards the towards vulnerable
For the dog.
people. Yes,
Yes. Yeah.
individuals. Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
Yes. Yes. And Ian said we get it right from the start that there's a villain. So did she hurt you? Says there is a villain trying to hurt this dog. Right? Yep. Good. Okay. Karis?
I was going to say we get right off the bat that she's a caring individual, also that
Mm-hmm.
she's not the most powerful person in her own life.
She's not the queen. She's not a princess. She's not a superhero. She's just a regular person. What does Dorothy represent in the book and in the movie? What does she represent?
A sympathetic character?
Okay, but be more specific. Karis?
Well, I think that there's a great thing that happens in The Wizard of Oz, and they've kind of taken it and they use it for every Disney princess movie ever since.
Mm-hmm.
She gets the wonderful opportunity to sing Over the Rainbow, which exposes, honestly, it exposes her soul and her yearning, and it lets us know what she wants. And every Disney princess movie does the exact same thing.
Yes.
Whether it's Belle or Ariel, in their opening song, we learn who they are, what they want, and what the yearning is of their heart.
Exactly right. Exactly right. She also represents us, the reader, because we want what's over the rainbow. We want that dream. In Harry Potter, we all want to be a wizard, right? It represents us as the reader. In Doctor Who, the companions represent us, the viewer, because they're the ones going, I don't understand what you just said. Explain it to me like I'm stupid. And then the doctor dumbs it down and explains it, and then we make sense because they represent us. And Dorothy is us. We all have had dreams. We all want to, find the magic. We all want to go home, which is an underlying thing. Always want to go home. All right. So from just that opening scene, now in Project Hail Mary, we have a character who doesn't know who I am, doesn't know where he is, stumbling around. And what's the first thing that he wants to do? Does anybody know?
Does he want to learn about his environment?
Yes, very good. He wants to learn about his environment and he wants to go home. What does Dorothy want? To go home. That's the base. Those things have that common factor right smack in there. Okay, so now let's look at how do we paint, we got just from those, did she hurt you? We have a sense of that character. From it's called a sensory anchor, and we'll get to that specifics. The who am I and where am I is also part of that sensory, I don't know where I am, sensory anchor. We're going to get to those. Now, as both of these two stories, they transition, one from black and white into color with Oz, into the land of Oz, into the dreamland, and from being in a coma and cocoon and realizing you're in outer space is a bit of a transition for both of those. Both of them are introduced to us as a savior. It's known as the reluctant hero. Okay, that's the character. So upon landing her house on top of the witch, she kills the witch. Dorothy kills the witch. She doesn't know that. She didn't plan on that. And she apologizes. I didn't mean to kill her. But she is perceived as a savior for all the people of Munchkin Land who were being tortured by the bad witch. And the good witch says that now she's going to, we have a savior here who's going to not, who saved Munchkin Land and is now going to start out on a journey to meet the wizard so she can go home. And she gets the shoes and whatnot. In Project Hail Mary, things get a little more complicated. We are introduced to Ryland Grace, not only as in outer space in the ship, but through powerful flashbacks that are just absolutely amazing. We learn he's a teacher from middle school. This isn't a superhero. This isn't a savior of the world, and yet he's a reluctant hero, but he has to save the planet because Earth's sun is being eaten up by astrophage. Anyway, he has to save the planet. He has to be the hero. Both of these two characters deny it. That makes them the reluctant hero. And so we have to look at what are the things they do, and the start that helps paint this picture. It begins with a sensory anchor. In Oz, it's that desolate, it's hard to believe when they filmed that felt like it was actually in Kansas. It was amazing. It was in a soundstage, but it felt like it was on location, desolate, arid, dry. What else do you get from her, as Jay pointed, that scene of her walking down that road? Thank you, Jay, for mentioning that. With the dog, is running away from home. Get that? She wants to run away from home, and her goal in her dream is to get home. What do you see? What's the senses that are being stimulated by having her walking down that dirt road?
Isolation, no help anywhere.
What else?
I feel like the sepia tone definitely establishes a mood. Yeah, just in the way that it gives it almost a kind of Grapes of Wrath kind of feel. This doesn't feel like a friendly environment to her.
Absolutely. It's alone. Where's she going to find help? It's a stunning when she runs into people, but it needs to reflect that isolation. She is alone. Okay. How does that help our character? It needs to situate the character within it. How does that road tell us more about the character?
It's lonely. It's a lonely road, and it's not going anywhere.
And Ian says that we start off with dullness and it gets exciting later on. Yes, it's true, as it does with most stories. Yep. So it puts her in. Steph?
No, I said, well, one would hope.
Yes. It puts her alone, and alone is really important. That is telling us that she's on her own. She's got to figure this out by herself, and she has this desolate, empty landscape that's intimidating, but her determination to save her dog pushes her away from home. She would rather leave home to save her dog than face the consequences at home.
One observation about this particular shot is in cinematography, if you really want to make the character appear small and powerless, you show them as small on the screen. For instance, there's in High Noon, where the sheriff, no one in the city is going to back him up. No one's as the enemies are coming into town. No one's there to help defend the sheriff, and the camera pulls away and pulls up so that it views him as this tiny speck in the middle of a great nowhere that shows him just how alone and how powerless he is. So that's
how do you do that with words? How do you do that with words?
Well, there you go.
It's you paint the landscape. You paint the landscape and you make her see the landscape. We're going to get into that because this landscape also has to suggest a mood or the meaning of things in there. Now, in Project Hail Mary, very similar again, wants to go home, but he doesn't know where he is. Finds out really quickly. He discovers 2 dead astronauts and he's alone. He's looking for the other people and he doesn't understand why he's there. Grace is wandering all over the place, banging around with everything, constantly in motion as he becomes more panic-stricken, more anxiety. He's moving all over the place. And that motion tells us how he's feeling. He just came out of 11-year coma. He is trying to figure everything out, and he's banging into everything, tripping over everything, dragging all of his medical equipment that's attached to his body all over the place, can barely stand up, but he's constantly in motion because he wants out. He wants to go home. And there's this brilliant scene where he ends up in the flight deck, and he sits down in the chair, and the computer says, "Pilot detected," and he bounces right out of it and says, "Not the pilot, not the pilot, I'm not the pilot, no, no," and he says, "No, no," tells the computer to contact Houston, phone home, let's crank up the radio, call Earth. And he starts to go into problem solving, but it's peripatetic, it's moving all over the place, and we feel that anxiety without being told in words or visually. He wants to go home and he's anxious and he's panicking. What is described is what tells us how he's feeling. And I love when he says, "Okay, computer, let's do Operation Go Home is in effect." And the computer's like, "No, don't know what you're talking about. No such thing." And he doesn't believe the computer that tells him that he's 11 years away, and he doesn't believe it. He's in denial because all he wants to do is go home. And he sees what he thinks is the sun, figures out it's actually not the sun, it's a different star, and it's really a powerful effect. But all that motion, when we have the quiet and the isolation of Dorothy walking down that road with nothing in the horizon, is a hopeless feeling. It's a helpless feeling. And we feel that compared to the energy. They both have the same goal, go home. But in the energy in Project Hail Mary, we have this person so desperate, they're going to break things in order to get home. And so you have different ways of responding. And so, which is part of what is called the character filter. What does the character notice immediately? What do they describe? What are they ignoring? And what does the character misunderstand? In Project Hail Mary, well, in Oz, Dorothy has left home. She is walking through this vast, desolate landscape, and she doesn't get that there could be nobody for miles and miles and miles and miles. But her need to get away, to save the dog, is more important until she goes far enough and realizes this was stupid. And now there's no hope, there's no help, there's nothing out there. And the same thing with Project Hail Mary. Ryland Grace denies, he thinks it's something, he misunderstands the star that he sees in front of him. He thinks it's the sun. And he keeps saying, no, 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 no. No, it isn't. No, it isn't. Let's go home. Until he actually does the math and realizes that he is 113 years from home at normal speeds. So that viewpoint, the character's viewpoint, tells us so much. So as we're writing the story, you need to look at what the character notices, what do they pay attention to, what are they ignoring, and then what don't they understand. Harris? Okay.
Yeah, you bring this is also a really important thing that you're talking about, because the fact that we initially identified these characters as the reluctant heroes, this the looking around at their environment and gleaning and understanding the situation that they're really in is what forces them to be the one that has to take action. Like you said, the fact that there is no one else there to do the job, forces them into a position where the reluctant hero has to actually start taking steps towards being the hero.
Absolutely, absolutely. And and the physicality. So the next one is body language and motion. We have, with that walking down the road, we have the desolation that she's facing, and then she encounters somebody. Is she all excited and jumping around? No, she's fatalistic. She's humble in her experience with meeting these people and not quite sure and whatnot, but it is a lot of motion. But with Project Hail Mary, Ryland Grace, he's in full-blown physical panic mode, flying around, flipping things on and off and trying to figure things out. And so what we get from his character is that he's anxious, he's anxiety prone, he's scared to death. We get all the fear factors. With Dorothy, we get fatalism. We get resolve, but not we don't see a hero yet. We just get this resolve. She has to get away, but she doesn't have a plan. She doesn't have an action. She's just kind of like, I just needed to get away. And there's no other thought past that moment. So it's a slow burn, but she has dreams. And Somewhere Over the Rainbow introduces us to her dreams, but she's a quiet character. And even with all of the things, trouble that she gets into in Oz, that character remains a fairly quiet character. Yes, she'll scream, she'll run, but in general, she's a real controlled character. And we get that pretty early on, that she's not an object in motion. Everything revolves around her. She's the eye of the hurricane. So we need that repetition, that visuals and things. So a believable person is not static. She's not static, but she's also not really movement. But we need to see the movement. We need to see that in order to understand that. We need the verbs. And just as I mentioned, this is key. Character is found through small decisions, small choices, small things. When Dorothy puts her foot, she doesn't want to. She puts that ruby red slipper on that start of that yellow road. She doesn't want to do it. She puts the next foot and the next foot and the next foot. But she has a whole team of munchkins that are encouraging her on and going, follow the yellow brick road, follow the yellow brick road, follow that. And she's like, it's like a chant, a mantra that shoves her forward because she's the reluctant hero. That little tiny decision to figure out where the spaceship was in relationship to the sun with Project Hail Mary, and coming up with that 113.8 years is devastating. And we learn later on as the movie and the story progresses why it's such a devastating little tiny fact. So when you got to find those little tiny things to help paint those pictures. Again, we didn't have to say that the character's anxious, the character is nervous, they're upset. We do it through their actions, through their motions. We just have to describe them. Okay. Because sometimes the character will sit instead of stand. They have to stand. They can't, or they'll have to sit, or they'll answer too quickly, or they'll talk over the top of other people. They'll interrupt people, or they'll just stay silent. while everyone else talks, and they'll understand. So, you have to really look at that physicality that goes into the character that tells us about who they are. All right, we're going to get to the fun, heading out and traveling to new and strange fun worlds to talk about our characters in those situations. But first, here's the most common pitfalls and some solutions. The biggest problem, and I see this in new writers constantly, which is using broad adjectives and a summary, a backstory dump. These things are so common, like she was anxious. Well, that's not helpful. Show us what that looks like. She was afraid. What does that look like? I don't know what afraid looks like. Afraid looks different in every human being. It looks different in every animal. We need to see what kind of fear. How do they express that fear? Show us what they look like. Make sure they're. And I love things. Had a writer years ago who loved to say it was a nice room, and he felt comfortable when he entered it. I don't know what to do with that. What is a nice room? A nice, comfortable room. I need to know. Was there a big overstuffed chair? Did it have pretty colors on the wall? I don't know. We also don't need a full information dump, like I said, to measure every postage stamp size of the entire room. We just need to know what is important to the character and why those things reflect on the character, tell us more about the character. Backstory dumps, boy, are those abused. The moment that something needs to be explained, let's go do a backstory. Yes, sometimes, but no, most of the time. Backstories are wonderful, but we need to incorporate them into the story so they're helping us move the story forward, describe the character, but not be relied on constantly. The last one on the pitfalls is what is called narrator distance. This one's a hard one to explain, but basically you know it when you see it. When you're reading something and you feel far away from it, the descriptions are omnipotent. They're not connected to the character. The room had green and yellow paint on the walls. Okay, great. That's somebody standing a distance looking at it. I don't, instead having the character say, that color green kind of reminds me of baby puke, some kind of connection where the character is actually looking and that means something. That's a really cheap shot example, but make sure that, you watch that you're not too far away, that we're seeing through the character's eyes, not through the narrator's eyes. Now, our solutions is have really grounded specifics in actions, really show us the moment, show us what's going on, paint that picture, and reveal just one meaningful little sliver of their backstory, of their history, of the person. So we don't get it all at once, we get it in little tiny chunks. And what's fascinating with Project Hail Mary is that it is blatantly revealed through flashbacks and through every step in the movie. Every single beat point in the movie and in the book and the story, you are learning about who that character is, and you are shown it over and over. It's really masterful, and you end up liking the character at the end. But along the way, there's some moments where you're like, not too sure, and you're not sure why. It's really well done. All right, so here's the summation. We're gonna through the magic of Lance's magic wands, we are going to be going to a couple worlds to see how much time we have, and we're going to look at sensory anchors. I want you to just be in the place and imagine a character. You're going to invent a character. You're going to look for what is their sensory anchor, the character filter. What does the character see? What's important in the scene to the character that helps to define that character? You can also include what they would ignore, what they would misunderstand, the body language and motion, how would the character move within the space, and what choices are you going to make so that those choices define the character. Okay, we got a whole lot of possibilities. You ready? Lance, wave. Come on over here. Now I'm going to give you just a minute or so to kind of take in the space, wander around, listen to all the sounds, listen to all, use your senses. And and then meet me back here where we are. And let's talk about what's important to hear the character. What's the sensory anchor? How does the character see this place? What's important to them? How would their body move, motion, and what choices would they have that would tell us more about them? We'll be right over here.
I'm actually working on a story right now that starts at the head of a metal steps, just like this. Or almost
Okay,
like it.
all right. Okay, let's be quiet for just a moment, and then we can talk about that. So cool.
I see construction here.
Yeah, just hold on a second, Ian. I want to get everybody back here when they're ready. All right. Okay, so Steph echoing. Sorry. Okay, so Steph, you mentioned about you have metal stairs and something that you're working on.
Uh-huh. And it is from, sorry about that. From the character, the bird's on me, so I can't necessarily put the headset on. I'm also doing everything one-handed, which is a little bit odd. But at any rate, she's cuddling in one arm, and I've got it kind of curled up against me. So
Steph's bird, Toby is also always attends our events, so she's our
yeah, she's a
okay.
Yeah,
anyway,
mascot. Well, at any rate, at the head of these stairs, my character is contemplating how it's a stupid thing to do to go down them in her present condition, and is almost talking herself out of it, but her goal is in sight and she needs to get there. So it's very much along the same lines as this, what you've been talking about.
Okay, so let's use that as example. Are the stairs an obstacle?
They're a hardship to traverse.
Okay, describe to us how she is moving in and around the stairs, how and what the characters, just paint, don't describe, these are just metal stairs and they've got a little bit of dirt and a ground out cigarette in the corner. What would the character see? Paint the picture of these stairs through the character's eyes and through their body language.
Far below the oddly industrial looking stairs was the trail that she is meaning to begin, and she knows she needs to get down there from the height she's at, but she suddenly looks down at her hands and realizes she has her grandmother's hands, and those hands were always strong enough to, well, drag her sled around the park and pick her up when she cried and things like that. So she kind of thought that she could trust her own, and she grasps the railing and starts down very carefully and very slowly.
Okay, let's stop there. So we have a flashback, a backstory that's brought in, which is fine. That's fine because that's a good thing. But let's help Steph. What else do you think Steph's character at that point sees her hands, sees her grandmother's hands, remembers how strong her grandmother is, that gives her courage. What else can help paint the picture of the character and what the character's about to do?
Perhaps I should have added that these stairs
Hold,
down
Steph.
the
No,
side of a
no, no,
cliff.
no. Don't add, Steph. All right, go ahead.
So we're placing the character in this scene, right? And like how they're seeing everything. Okay, so I feel like it's hot and dusty and hazardous. So I feel like maybe the character is coughing or covering their eyes or sweating, like dabbing their face, and maybe it's blurry. Like, so you could describe things through the blur, like you see
I
through
like
the
that.
blur
I
of
can
the
see
sweat.
that it's dusty here.
Yeah, and
Yeah, or
well,
like,
this is
I
her
see
perception.
pillars. I see
But,
like stairs and pillars, but I can't really tell what they are. But I know that I need to focus because there's a giant pit I don't want to fall
Yeah,
into.
okay, let's just hold on to that for a second. So if we were taking Steph's character, instead of just looking down at her eyes, I mean at the hands and seeing her grandmother's hands, we can add more of the environment, just combining the two. That is, she wipes, through the dust, through the, she wipes her eyes and through the blur of the heat and, those beautiful descriptions, she sees her hands. And then we can match that in so that we're painting the scene, but we're adding more conflict to the struggle. She's just not trying to get down the stairs in her current condition. She's going against weather as well. So we've added more tension to the scene. So that's using Steph's character. Yeah. Steph? Go ahead, Steph.
This is getting tougher all the time.
It's not tougher. We're just trying to paint the picture of it and stuff. All right. So, hold on. So, Kektu, with you, tell us more about your character. What else in the scene paints the picture of your character? Tells us more about the character. Are they somewhere they belong, or are they somewhere they shouldn't be?
Maybe they're somewhere they unfortunately belong, like they don't really want to be here.
Well, unfortunately, sounds like they don't want to be here, so they don't really belong here. Okay. What else? Tell us more about the character in this environment. What else in this environment would reveal more about the character?
She sees the beginning of the stairs and she trips into a puddle.
Okay, but that's different from dry and dusty. That's your character, Ian. Yours has puddles.
Okay.
So hold on a second, Ian. Okay, Kekatu, what about your character? What else is in here that tells us about the character?
Like if I had to write a character from scratch, I'd probably write a character that is working and is so tired and doesn't want to be here anymore. Maybe they don't really get along with the other people that work here. So you could show them like kind of being ignored, and maybe they get in trouble because there's obviously like behind you all, there's like a headquarters, like there's definitely a boss over there. So you could show like maybe they feel like they're being watched.
Nice. Yeah. The feeling of the paranoia that comes with being watched. Oh, it's fun to play with. Oh, it's fun to play with that. Wonderful. All right. Tang Whistle, thank you for coming and joining us. We're looking for sensory anchors and character filters, how the characters see the world around them and how they move, their body language, how they move in this environment. So, Karis, what character did you come up with?
Well, I was thinking of a child's response to this, because obviously there's the big crane, which is always, this is why Tonka trucks were so popular. Watching the big crane would be amazing, but also this area behind us with these concrete, this would be a great area to play. And so with all the other stuff that's going on, all this grown-up construction and everything like that, I could see a lot of focus being right here on these concrete circles and squares of what a great play area this would be to stay out of the way and stay out of trouble and you know.
Okay, so to a child, what the crane and the cement pipes, what would they represent? How would the child see them?
Like a jungle gym.
Like a jungle gym. Yep. What else?
And great hiding places.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But what kind of a hiding place? Through a child's eyes, what would these look like?
A tunnel.
Tunnels. Could be
Portals.
tunnels. Could be portals to new worlds. Could be the Stargate. Yay. Could be to going to new worlds. And what about the crane? What would could the crane look like to a child's eyes?
A great beast.
Mm-hmm.
Could be a huge, it could be a brontosaurus. It could be a dragon. It could be a huge robot. Huge, powerful robot.
So the kid, so imagine Steph, what?
And a tree to climb.
A tree to climb. Okay. Now, if through a child's imagination, they see these as tunnels or portals, and they see this as the monster, and they have a whole fantasy world, and then they stumble on reality. What would be the reality?
The foreman. Somebody's working.
Okay.
Yeah.
Escalated.
Dead body.
A dead body. Exactly. I'm going to show you. That's perfect. Okay?
Sorry, I couldn't resist.
No, it's perfect. No, that's exactly what we were looking for. So,
Yeah, well, there could be a construction accident that takes place right here while they're.
No, it's Jimmy
Yeah.
Hoffa. Let's go deeper.
Playing.
They discover Jimmy Hoffa, but they discover a dead body. And isn't that the way that so many detective and FBI and I don't know, all these different shows, they start out with some innocent scene of a family having a good time, playing in the park, jogging, doing whatever, and then they stumble on the dead body, NCIS, CIS, etc. That's an opening. Now it's the children or the family, they're out of the picture because now the professionals have to move in and solve this crime. How did the body get here? How did it happen? And whatnot. So, but it always starts out with that innocence of a child playing, and then boom, there's the dead body. So that's beautiful. So we're looking through the characters. All right. Jay, you have one?
Sorry, a scenario for what kind of character might stumble upon this.
Yeah, you're creating a character. You need a sensory anchor, and to see what this would be through the eyes of the character that teaches us about the character.
Okay. Yes. Oh, shoot. I mean, am I supposed to come? Well, sorry, I got here kind of late because my internet was much slower. But I might think of one later. Nothing's coming to mind at the moment, I'm afraid.
That's okay. That's okay. It was just an experiment to see if you come up with a character that would be in this environment, and how this environment would help us learn more about the character. Yeah. Tang Whistle, do you have something right off the top?
Do I have something right off the top?
A character. What would be the key sensory things that help us learn more about the character in this environment, in general, based on this environment? How would they see this environment?
Laurel, I have a whole plot for a novel just from the 2 minutes I spent wandering around here. Okay. So
okay, give us the pitch.
Here's the elevator pitch. The daughter of a successful construction company owner who built his company from the ground up started out as one of the,
the low entry level workers, put himself through college, built his company from the ground up. He has passed away. His daughter is one of those girls who like to play with Tonka trucks, because that's me. I like to play with Tonka trucks when I was a little girl, and everybody told me to stop playing with those Tonka trucks. Those were boy toys. I should go play with my Barbies. I put my Barbie in my Tonka truck. Barbie was my foreman. And so she has been her whole life pushed away from the business, and now has an opportunity to take over the business because her mother wants nothing to do with it. Her mother just wants to sell it. Her brother wants to sell it. She is the only one that wants to keep it in the family and keep continuing with it. And my opening scene is her walking through this empty construction site that business has halted because the owner is dead and people are scrambling and nobody knows what to do and nobody's got payroll figured out because he did everything.
Okay, let me hold on there, because
that's all I got.
Okay, but right there, this represents, we don't have to be told, as you know, as readers, we wouldn't have to be told that construction was halted, that payroll's not being met and whatnot. We're standing in here and looking around at this and describing this would tell that part of the story.
Because it's empty. Nobody's working.
Exactly.
And it feels so wrong.
Yeah.
And and it's also symbolic of how isolated she has felt her whole life growing up, wanting to be part of her father's construction business and constantly being pushed away.
Excellent. Do you see the difference? Makes sense? Karis?
I'd read that story.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I love the fact that
idea pile.
there was conflict introduced in the childhood as far as don't play with the Tonka trucks, play with your Barbies, and she's gonna have to force the industry to take her seriously. That's going to be a huge challenge. It's an industry that's primarily, one would assume, male dominated, and she's going to have that would be a great story.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, I think that's brilliant. And
I'm already pre-purchasing your book.
But the symbolism of the place helps to tell her story. That's the whole gist of it. Now, I just noticed time. We're going to run over just a little bit because I'm going to get one more place in. So open up your imagination, and Lance, wave your magical wand. Okay. I'm going to give you a minute or so to wander, then meet us back outside. Think about what kind of character would be in here, and how does this environment tell us about who the character is, what their perspective on the world is, how would they move, talk, walk, how would they be impacted by this?
Should we assume they're alone?
Should we what?
Assume they're alone?
I don't know. It's up to you. Your character, your idea.
Can I get like a 2D image of that sky map in a file?
Yeah, you can take a screenshot.
This is fucking It's gorgeous.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
I think I saw the headless horseman go through here.
Okay, good. Pretty cold. I think we're a little further north than the Headless Horseman's place.
Actually,
Okay.
west of there.
Sorry.
Actually, west of there.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, hey, Vania. Hello. Welcome. We're talking about believable characters for this first in our 4-week series on writing and building believable people, and we're looking for what kind of character would be in here, and what about this place would mold and paint the picture of how this character, the character description, the character perspective on all of this. Okay, who wants to have the first character? Hey, you want to blow us away? You're in love with the sky, I can tell.
I was just staring at the sky. I'm definitely thinking astronomer or astrologer. I'm trying to decide on a time period. Let me go poke around inside the building, see if that gives me a time period idea.
It was a dark and stormy night.
It's not, though. It's a beautiful, bright, starry night.
Indeed.
So what is this? Is this something?
Is it not snow? So what is it?
It's snow.
I thought it was snow. I assumed it was
Could be something else.
No,
it could be ashes.
But it could be ash. Okay. All right. So who wants to take the first character?
Well, this looks like a device to make lightning.
Okay.
What are those? What are those called? The
lightning rods?
Well, seems like there's a different term for
Tesla
it.
coil?
Tesla coil. It looks like it's a big Tesla coil. Look at all the wiring inside on the right. Once you go inside on the right, there's a electrical room with.
Oh, it is copper
and then
wiring.
These connections. Yeah, see?
It's like a Faraday cage or something?
Yes.
All
Yeah.
right. I know what I'm doing. It's not an astronomer. It's not an astrologer. It is a quantum physicist who is experimenting with teleportation.
Ah.
Okay.
That's all I got.
Okay, but we need to describe this through the eyes of the character.
Oh, okay. Let's see. Old turn of the century barn they purchased with grant money and converted into an experimental site to conduct long-range teleportation. And
for like sensory things, maybe this is a big experiment and it's like there's a lot of hope in it. Maybe there's like a sensory feeling of like inside this building where this invention is being built, it's warm and it feels hopeful and it feels like a home, but then outside you like see it from a distance and it's like, oh, I'm almost there, like I'm almost about to teleport.
Yeah, and the sky outside is just so perfectly symbolic of that sense of grandeur, of being right on the edge of success and making your mark in history.
Okay. What about it makes it feel that way? Because it's a lot of words.
Being isolated.
Sensory thing. Okay, but that doesn't help me with making your mark on history. Yes, well, it's isolated.
The sky. I mean,
okay.
Those stars, if they were real stars, that light is coming from the past. We're seeing light that started a journey, possibly a million years ago, possibly before the Earth was created. And so there's a sense of being so small and humbled, but at the same time, this small little humble shack it's their Kitty Hawk. It's their, they're 30-second flight that is gonna make their mark in history. And people will study this moment and study this scene for centuries to come.
A connection to something greater.
Yeah. Just kind of the whole collective scope of it all, from the vastness, almost infinite vastness of the sky, down to this tiny little shack, this very, shoestring budget setup for an extraordinary experiment nobody thinks is gonna work.
Okay, so shoestring setup is good. In fact, it's isolated, says it could be dangerous. Belief that it isn't working. Okay, but I need descriptions. Who wants to help? We've got storyline and story ideas. I need descriptions.
We
Sorry.
got
Hold on, Ian. Hold on, Ian. Somebody beat you to it. Hold on, Ian.
Like, it's cold, they're shivering, the weight of their coat feels so heavy while they're walking in. But when they get there, they kind of like shed their layers. They feel so much lighter. It's warmer inside. Maybe they're surrounded by colleagues.
Shedding layers.
Yeah.
What is that representing? The shedding of the layers of the coat. What does that also symbolize?
Rebirth.
Like confidence.
Rebirth, confidence, hope, passion, excitement, ready for, preparation. Good. Good. Ian, what'd you say? Ian, your turn.
Oh, I got an old musty shed when I walked in there.
Okay, so there's a smell of the musty, but old is interesting. With Tang, her character is dealing with time travel, so an old feeling of the building is appropriate. That's a good, interesting way to use it. Yeah. What else? I love this. I'm sorry. Yeah, the shedding of the coats.
Right. No, the shedding of the layers, though, but that's also, that could represent evolving from the person that you've been to the person that you're about to be.
Absolutely. As well as if this person, this is an experiment that's clearly going on, and they're literally been told that it can't be done, that it's not, never going to work, and all these things. So the shedding of the coat or the clothes and, and the layers is also representing going, I don't care, bugger them, I can do this. I believe. Yeah, courage and belief is through there. So that's a great example. Thank you. What else? Yeah. What else?
I guess you could also kind of reverse that too and like see a little doubt. Like maybe when they're walking there, they're looking forward to taking off that coat. But when they get there, the heat is broken and they still have something to do, but they're like frustrated that they couldn't take it off. Or so just one thing is wrong and it spirals.
And where does it spiral?
Their fingers are so cold, they can't really do anything with the machine.
That is beautiful because that tells us the temperature of this place without saying it was a cold and dark night. Yeah, fingers unable to move in the cold. Yes.
There's also the sound of the the air is there's this breeze that you can hear and also feel how cold it is.
Well, but that wouldn't really be evident in how we're seeing the snowfall.
Yeah.
If it was blowing sideways, then we would know that there would be a wind. But the way that it's falling all,
True.
mostly straight down, kind of tells us that there's not going to be much of a wind. And yet we do have that ball swinging by the front door.
Oh,
So
dear.
kind of contradictory there, but
Uh-oh. Something else is going on.
The aliens are coming.
and frankly, some of these snowflakes are falling really fast, like they're really heavy. So I don't know.
So what does that sound?
Definitely aliens.
Alien sounds.
Yes.
Okay.
These are not ordinary snowflakes.
It's a tiny alien invasion.
Maybe they see like their breath when they breathe, like they could see the cloud coming out, or maybe if there is wind, it's so loud that they can't really hear other people.
And
I saw a big metal ship blaze past us.
yeah, it wasn't a ship. It was a sign, but close enough.
So if you were waiting for a sign, there it was.
There it was. Yes. Okay. Does that sound change anything?
Now we're in the cave.
Yeah.
And then we have the sound of typing. All right. I think you all got the points. Yes, I got the typing and the back. I want to thank everyone for being here. And this is the first of this month's whole series on building believable people, characters in motion. And we've been really looking at how do you see the world through the character's eyes, and how do you paint the picture of the environment to help tell that story, and what adjectives and words that you use to help really make the person be vivid in the space, so that we understand who they are and why they're there and where their motivations are. Right from the very first words that you write, from the first words that they say, as I gave examples from The Wizard of Oz and from Project Hail Mary. Again, both amazing, how different stories, how drastically different stories, but they're all based on this reluctant hero whose goal is to go home. All they want to do is go home. But that journey that they take is what keeps us turning the pages over and over, watching the movies, whatever, is that we want them to succeed. We need to believe in them in order to follow them on their journey through all of their adventures. So we need to pay attention to those things. And we do that through sensory anchors: sounds, smells, sights, temperatures, feelings, things that anchor the character. In the last place, it was the aloneness, as Tang did a great example of her coming in and there's no one there. So obviously this is a project that was stopped. There's meaning behind that. We have the character's filter. How does the character see the world that they're in? What's their perspective? One person sees cold and thinks this is the worst thing in the world. Another character sees cold and thinks this is heaven. This is the best place. How do they see the world? And then body language and motion. How do they move? We talked about in Wizard of Oz, Dorothy is still a lot of the time. Even when she's in a bad situation, she stays fairly still. Where in Project Hail Mary, Ryland Grace is like moving all over the place in 100 miles an hour, everywhere, different direction, grabbing onto things, falling over things. And we see his panic, his anxiety, and his fear through his motion. So how do they move? How do they, the movement of their body tells us about their emotional state and about how they interact with the world around them. And then how important the tiniest choices, the words we choose, like Kikitu said, the removing the layers. Boy, that was so symbolic, so beautifully profound. So thank you for that. That was very sensory, and we could just pull so much symbolism from that. So we're next week, we're going to be diving in to continue on building our amazing characters, and we're going to be looking at more about characters in a world and the impact of that world on our characters, not just how they perceive the world around them, but what it's their how they see the good, how they judge the bad, how they evaluate everything, and how they think the world looks at them. So we're going to be looking at all of those things and having way too much fun. I want to thank Lance for finding these wonderful worlds here on Engage for us to explore, and having way too much fun with this. This is perfect done, and we're going to have more fun next week with this. All right. And then that's it. So my name is Laurel. I'm the Director of Educators in VR, and I founded the Creative Writing here in VR in 2018. And I want to thank all of you for being here, and we can end video. Yay!